Call to order the Board of Supervisors meeting for Monday, May 19th at 7 p.m. And please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Let's establish that we have a quorum. Amy?
Supervisor Jeannie Vogel?
Here.
Supervisor Mark Hain?
Here.
Supervisor Linda Waite?
Here.
Chairman Dan Wolfel?
Here.
Supervisor Trent Olson?
Here. All right, we have a quorum. Next item on our agenda is to understand who all these lovely people are that are here this evening. So we will start with you, ma'am. If you'd just introduce yourself, please.
Karen Saran, 5457 Bayshore Drive.
Thank you.
Here for the variance.
Yep.
Robin Zaran, 5457 Bayshore Drive. I'm the applicant for the variance.
Jim Parent, 8405 West Pine Ridge Circle, Bailey's Harbor, here for a driveway permit. Mike Parent, 7713 Highway 42, Lake Harbor, here for a driveway permit on Rock Ridge Road. Michael Hinkle, York County Land Use Planning, here for the
Karen Bailey, Land Use Services Director, here for
Ken Tavish, York County Administrator.
Ashley Gray, Technology Services Project Manager.
Jim Salins, Director of Emergency Management.
Gary?
Gary Londo, just here.
Cheryl Burka, 4485 Rock Ridge Road.
And Tom Broca, 4485 Rock Ridge Road. He's District 14 County Board Supervisor.
Gwen Grayboys, 5343 South Lake Road. Chris Ingram, 4559 Rock Ridge Road.
Ken Ingram, 4559 Rock Ridge Road.
Marty Gerber, 4541 Rockridge Road.
Maureen Berger, 4570 Rock Ridge Road. Denise Berger, 4570 Rock Ridge Road.
Jeff Lotno, 4546 Rock Ridge.
Well, welcome, especially to all the people from Rock Ridge Road. Is there anybody living over there now? I mean, actually in residence? All right. Just the Roberts. All right. Next item on our agenda is public participation. These are on non-agenda items. So if there's someone who would like to speak for a moment or two on a particular topic not on our agenda, now would be the time. See an abundance of raised hands? All right, hearing none, we will move on. I think we need a motion to approve our agenda, assuming it was properly noticed.
The agenda was properly noticed.
All right, motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion by Jeannie, second by,
I'll second.
second by Trent. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Away we go. Approval of the minutes, Board of Supervisors meeting from April 21st. Motion to approve. You should have all had a chance to read those.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the April 21st meeting.
Motion by Jeannie, second by?
Second.
Second by Mark. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Next item on our agenda is a presentation from the County of Door, representatives for the Communication Towers Project, Emergency Management Overview, and Land Use Services. And I think they introduced themselves, but Communications Tower Project would be Ashley, Emergency Management is Jeb, and Land Use Services would be Michael and Karen. And Ken's going to say he's doing it all.
Yep. You want us to come up and address you, or in the back, or?
Mike on the podium, all set to go for you guys. No problem.
So, good evening. Can you hear me all right?
Should be on.
All
Yep.
right, sounds good. Again, thank you, Ken Pavick, York County Administrator. I guess we're attending all of our local municipalities and doing just an updates on 3 critical projects that we're working on. Well, projects and also areas of interest that we are important to the towns. Again, you kind of mentioned them, the areas that we're covering, but again, we'll do land use services. Also an update for emergency management, and then also our communications emergency project is what we're calling it. So we're going to start off with land use services, and I'll turn it over to Garen, and Michael.
Good evening. First of all, thank you for having us tonight. Again, my name is Karen Bailing. I am the Land Use Services Director. With me tonight is Michael Hinkle. He's the code administrator that is assigned to the town of Sevastopol, and I'll let him introduce himself to you.
Michael, so as Karen mentioned, I'm the code administrator assigned.
Microphone, please.
Yep. As Karen mentioned, I'm the code administrator assigned to the town of Sevastopol, so if you have any zoning questions or sanitary questions, you can send them my way.
So first, I just wanted to briefly go over what our department does. Our department consists primarily of 3 different areas. The first area is zoning. We have 5 code administrators now that are assigned primarily to administer our zoning ordinances. They're the ones that review the applications, issue the zoning permits, and investigate any zoning violations. And then secondly, we have our sanitary program, or our POUTS program, our private on-site wastewater treatment systems. So those would be your mound systems and your holding tanks. We have 2 code administrators that primarily handle those, and they issue the permits for those systems. They also do all the inspections on those systems throughout the entire county. And then thirdly is planning. We have 1 planner in our department, and she's responsible for developing and implementing different plans throughout the county. 1 plan she's working on right now is our Parks and Open Spaces plan. The county updates that every 5 years, so that's going to be updated in 2026. Another plan she's working on, which Jeb will touch more on in a minute, is our hazard mitigation plan, and that's another one that we update every 5 years as well. Moving forward in our department, some of the goals that I have this year is to create some more efficiencies within our department and also prioritize working on addressing known zoning violations and coming up with a more systematic approach as we move forward with those. I also like to mention our website. So not only for the board, but also town residents. If you go to the Door County website under Land Use Services, we have a wealth of information there for everybody. All of our county zoning ordinances are listed on there, and a lot of different forms and worksheets to work you through different questions that you may have. Also, we have an entirely online permitting system, so if you're looking to fill out an application for a zoning permit or sanitary system, all our permits are entirely online now. You can fill those out from home, or if you need assistance, we do assist people in our office and have a computer in our lobby that we can help people fill out that online application as well. I just want to thank you for your time tonight, and we look forward to continuing to work with you, and Michael looks forward to working with you as well. Next, I'm going to introduce Jeb with Emergency Management. Thank you.
All right, thank you for having us. My name is Jeb Salins. I'm the Director of Emergency Management for Door County. One of the issues I wanted to talk with you about tonight was the flyer that I handed out to everyone. It's on our new emergency alerting system called Door County Ready. So we switched to this system starting September 1st of last year. So our previous system was called Code Red. One of the important things to know is that anyone who is on the old system didn't get transferred over to the new system. So we're making a big push to make sure that all of our community members get on this new emergency notification system. So with that, they can receive weather alerts directly on their phone, email, text message. It's very convenient when this self-service works.
So were you affected by the outage?
We were slightly. So if you did have a Cellcom phone and you weren't hooked up to Wi-Fi, you did not receive the tornado watch on last week. So that was one of the issues. As for the county system is on Cellcom phones. So we had to do a little problem solving with our non-emergent line. That was out as well. 911 was still working. but the non-emergent dispatch line was out. So a lot of times our alarm companies will call us through that line. So we had to kind of call up each alarm company and give them a new number. But luckily, we were able to get that fixed Friday and to get that back up and running. So we were grateful to have that up and running so quickly. But it is one of the problems these days of relying solely on cell service. But it does expand our variety to get the message out to more people. Back in the day when we only had tornado sirens, that was a very limited geographical area in the county, and now we can expand that to a much larger group of people in the county. And then we also have a way of contacting tourists that come up to the county that might not be signed up for an emergency alerting system. So that system is called iPause, and it allows us to send out life-saving information to all cell phones in a geographical area. So we're really excited about that. It's definitely expanded our reach. We were able to test it out and send out real-life messages during the ice storm on Washington Island. When temperatures were getting down to about 13 degrees at night, we were setting up a warming shelter for people to sleep in. We sent out 2 notifications island-wide, and it saved our responders a lot of door knocking, and was very effective. So this will be one of our forever campaigns. So we will be talking about this every year. So we encourage everyone to sign up with the flyer and the QR code that's on it, and then pass that along to a neighbor. Maybe one of the neighbors you look out for, that's on your block, that you shovel snow for. These are just good ways to get it out into the community. But any questions on that before I move on? Okay. The second issue I wanted to talk about was our hazard mitigation plan. So you guys are covered underneath the county hazard mitigation plan. The county hazard mitigation plan is updated every 5 years. We do work with land use services to update that plan. The grant that we did get to update it was canceled as part of at the federal level. So we are currently looking at different options of how to fund that process, if FEMA are going to have the same requirements for that. So the hazard mitigation plan looks at all the hazards that we might face in the county and what hazards you face on a municipality level. And then what ways that we implement to mitigate those strategies. So it's a useful plan on looking forward on what municipalities are doing, what the county is doing to mitigate some of our disasters. Really good example is, let's say fire departments and community organizations getting generators for warming shelters. We've obviously seen in the last couple of years that is a need. So those are good examples of projects we would put in the hazard mitigation plan. So right now there's a little bit more questions and answers with that plan, but as we go forward, we'll keep you updated on where that plan stands, and if we do go forward with it, we would love to have your participation in it. And then the final issue I wanted to talk about tonight was developing an emergency operation plan and having a local emergency manager. You guys are already several steps ahead of most municipalities on that question. I worked with Trent last year to develop your guys' emergency operation plan. So to that, I would just say make sure that it's still updated, that you still have the good contacts to call in the middle of the night. But you guys are much more further ahead than most. And then I would just say, as you look at updating those contacts, make sure that that local emergency manager is still the right person. I always say, it should be someone who can make financial decisions, declare an emergency, and has good local working knowledge of the local areas. So with that is all I have. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
The environment hazard mitigation plan, is it on the website?
Yes, ma'am. It is on the emergency management section of Door County's website. All right. Well, thank you. And we've saved the best for last, and that's Ashley DeGrace. Thank you.
Thank you all for having us. As we've mentioned, my name is Ashley DeGrave. I am the Technology Services Project Manager. I'm going to go over the Public Safety Upgrade Project. It's our Towers Communication Project. Before I get to the handout there that I've given to you guys, I'll go over a little bit of a background to kind of explain how we got to where we are today. In October of 2020, it was identified that our current VHF public safety communication system would be end of life in 2028. It was last upgraded in 2013. And that was presented by our then consultant, Len Keenan, who around the same time announced his retirement. So we had to go through the process of selecting a new communications consultant. And through an RFP process, the county selected OCG, which is the Omnicom Consulting Group out of Florida. And they have worked with us and will continue to work with us throughout the entire planning process. And they've helped us develop the plan there in front of you. Along with them, it was done with our CATS committee, which is our Communications Advisory Technical Subcommittee. That's a committee that's comprised of all vested members in public safety. So we have sheriff, EMS, fire, dispatch, emergency management, all people to help us build the best communication system we can going forward. So they've reviewed this and will continue to review it and then make the recommendations to forward on to committees for approval. So the first part of the process was to select the system that they wanted to go with, and they selected what's called a P25 APCO 7800 megahertz system. So what that means is a P25 APCO system. It's a certified public safety system. APCO is a nationwide organization that sets the public safety standards to make sure that these systems are operating the best that they can in those mission critical types of events. So we'll be selecting a system and a vendor that adheres to all of those standards. Then the next part of that is 7800 megahertz. That's strictly just the frequency that it's going to dispatch on. There are dedicated bands within that frequency that are dedicated specifically for public safety, which is better than the VHF system. There wasn't a lot of regulations with the FCC as far as those frequencies go, so there's a lot more noise and interference. So these bands are dedicated, some of those bands are dedicated specifically for public safety. So the plan design that you see there in front of you is representing our portable outdoor coverage. That's the typical standard that we run as a metric because it's typically the harder coverage with the radio being on your hip and could be blocked by your body. Things as simple as relocating a radio from a hip to your shoulder or coverage in a vehicle that's going to have better antennas will be enhanced from that. So the typical public safety standard would be a 95% coverage per county. That's just the standard that they shoot for. Our CATS committee Public Safety has identified those red boxed areas on the map there. Those are areas that they're identifying currently in our system as problem areas. So in order to make sure that those areas were covered in our new system, the CATS committee has chosen to go with a 95% per municipality coverage instead of per county as a whole, which brings us to just under 98% for the county as a whole. And what that design looks like there in front of you would be taking our existing infrastructure of towers, and then we would be adding 8 new sites. 6 of those sites would be co-locates, so towers that already exist within the county, and then 6 of those would be new builds. Those new builds would be in a partnership with Ensight's sister company, Vertical Bridge. The county would buy the land, and then Vertical Bridge will build, own, and maintain those sites going forward, and we'll have the ability to utilize space on those sites. But we won't have to maintain the towers going forward. So then the second attachment that you have there is the radio costs, and you guys are a little bit different because you have your own EMR group, but then you use Sturgeon Bay Fire for that service. So I have both of those listed there. Obviously, the municipality would be responsible for sure for the EMR part of it and the radios that they have, but then I don't know what would work out with Sturgeon Bay Fire if they would try to pass some of those costs on to you, but that's just so you have a representation of what that looks like. So there's 2 costs there. There's a high and a mid-tier radio. We're just showing those to represent what the difference is. The CATS committee has determined that the mid-tier radios will be sufficient for our needs, that the added cost for features on those high-tier radios that we likely wouldn't be using anyhow just isn't worth that. So any costing that comes from the county will be based off of those mid-tier radios. So at this point, the county board has not made a final determination on what percentage of that costing will be covered. We're hoping in the next month or two to take those proposals forward to them, and then we'll be able to send you a formal letter at that point, letting you know what that looks like. But again, everything will be based off of that mid-tier pricing. We're also exploring the opportunity for whatever portion would be at the municipal level of doing a repayment plan, that the county would bond for the whole portion and then allow the municipalities an opportunity to pay that over X number of years to make it a little bit easier. We will also continue to look for any grant opportunities, both at the county level and at the municipal level, and we'll pass all of that information on as soon as we get it. And then the last piece of the funding part of it will be, that we're looking to make a determination on, will be subscriber fees. This is a more enhanced system and costs more to maintain yearly, so we're looking at what the annual cost per radio would be for that. That will go along with the presentation for the cost of the radios with the subscriber fees. So again, we'll hopefully be able to have that determination in the next couple of months, that we can send you the exact numbers on that. So that's what I have on that. Any questions?
I have only 12 questions.
Yeah, perfect. Can't wait.
Probably they all have the same one. Let me back up if I can to the Sturgeon Bay line. Are you saying that Sturgeon Bay Fire Department, because of the number of employees there, they need 48 radios, and because they cover us, you would guess, anticipate, or think they might be asking us for money for the radios?
It probably, I mean, I don't know what kind of contract you guys have with them or how often that's
I
negotiated.
mean, they
but-
need the radios themselves or not?
Correct. They would need those radios for their service, right? So I don't know if that would be something that they would look at passing on, or if they would just absorb it. But I wanted you guys to have that representation of, because you don't have your own fire department, that's what it costs for theirs.
No, but for $450,000 plus what we pay them, I think I could get one. Very nice
Well,
fire department.
you'd be at the lower one, 337, so.
Okay. Town payback over X number of years. I mean, that sounds like a good plan. The only piece I wonder about is we probably need to figure out some way to borrow that so that we could turn around and put it on our tax bill versus just carrying that as part of our normal budget cycle, because that could, with our broadband commitment and a few other things, that could roll up to be a few dollars.
Yeah, so again, what we're intending on doing is, well, two options. One is the initial proposal that we're bringing forward is to cover half that cost by the county itself.
Okay.
CATS is recommending that the county actually purchase the radios outright for all the communities. So there's a little bit of a discrepancy that the county board needs to work that part out. So we'll be bringing that to the county board for their ultimate decision. But whatever that is, that balance, so obviously it's paid for outright, then you just need to plan for whatever agreement you have with the city in terms of the subscription cost, correct?
Right.
But again, if there was actually debt, let's say it's even at 50% and there was debt related to it, the county is offering to, I guess, again, finance that debt. And then we'd have an intergovernmental agreement in terms of the municipality is paying us back. Again, once you set it up as debt, it falls outside your levy structure, so you'd be able to handle the debt in that fashion.
Okay. And would you, I know you guys had a lot of work ahead of you, but is this a 26 expense, do you think?
I would say no, because right now we're still in the process of acquiring the sites, which has been very difficult for us, as you can imagine. So right now, we're probably looking at, from the county standpoint, actually bonding in 26, 27, but actually bidding the system in 27 and implementation in 28. So you're
Okay.
probably not looking, the system wouldn't go live until 28, so you're probably looking at the end of 27 or 28 before you see that come online. And you don't
Okay.
want to buy the radios or the system too soon, so the radios will come online very close to that implementation date.
Okay, that's great, thank you.
But again, I guess the goal is just to give you a heads up, you know, to have some discussions with the city, obviously, but again, there will be the subscription part for sure, just in terms of maintaining the system overall.
Do you have any flavor for what a subscription fee is for a radio?
Not fully yet. We've heard different numbers. It'd be the best we've heard so far, it's similar to a phone cell. like a monthly thing. So it depends, you know, that $30 to $40 a month range is what we've heard. Again,
Okay.
we're doing some research on that, but none of that's been set in stone yet.
All right, thank you. Anyone else on the board have a question on this? Linda?
Wasn't there just legislation, or maybe it's still in the works, that fire and/or EMS costs would be outside of our levy? So debt obviously could be on top of the levy, but I thought there was a movement to put EMS and fire costs in there as well.
I know there's discussion on legislation for that, but I'm not sure of the status in terms of that moving out for like fire departments and everything. But again, if that does, that'd be a benefit to
Right.
all for sure.
Right.
So that'd be very significant for us if we can get that to happen.
Okay, anyone else? Thanks, Ken.
Yep, appreciate it. Thank you guys for
Thank you.
allowing us opportunity to take some of your time tonight, so.
I have one question for land use before they go, if that's all right.
Sure.
Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just, I guess I'd like, I know your background, so I'm hopeful that enforcement of things that have slipped through the cracks will be part of your new routine.
That is the goal this year, for sure.
Okay.
Yes.
And is there some tracking mechanism that will tell us that this laundry list of conditional use, et cetera, that's still outstanding is being worked in any timeline?
On conditional use permits or on violations?
Yes.
So all our violations that are known violations, we've been able to enter into our software system recently so that we have a way to track their status
Okay.
as we progress through them now. So
Okay.
yes, we have a way to track them now.
Okay, so I could, I don't mean to be, there's been a lot of gaps here, but, so I could pick up the phone and say, I'd like you to tell me where we stand with whatever, and you could tell me it's in progress, working, whatever.
Yes.
Okay, that would be great. And the second thing, and I've heard this, I've been around too long at the town, I apologize. But I've heard from a number of people over the years, the need to have a priority process. I'll give you an example. Someone has a lot, and they decide to go in and they clear cut it on the water. And by the time that they've got somebody from Land Use Services out there, all we have are stumps. So to me, there should be some vehicle where a concerned citizen can engage someone at Land Use Services that responds. Obviously, there has to be some qualifiers, but responds immediately to this before they're looking at a lot full of stumps, and it's, you know, now it's down to litigating a fine. And this has happened on more than a couple occasions, and not only in our town. I've heard from friends of mine who live in other communities that have had similar situations. So I just bring it up as kind of one of those things that maybe you can figure out a process that if someone calls in and says, look, I really have an issue here, that you can step up. I know you have regular travel days, but it might be inappropriate, it might be appropriate to make a call and, you know, go and address it. Similar thing we do with our fire department or works force. If somebody calls in and says they see smoke, even if it's a minor thing, sometimes it could be a burn barrel, they'll send somebody out to make sure that it isn't more than that or it doesn't become more than that. So that would be, those would be the two things that I wanted to suggest.
Yes, thank
So-
you. That's definitely worth looking into, implementing something like that. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Ken, and your group. All right. Find out where I am here, huh?
EMRs.
All right. Going back to our primary agenda, the next item of business is discussion on the EMR amendments, the 2024 bylaws, and also headcount for EMRs. And we did receive from Trent on Thursday or Friday revised suggested bylaws that I'd like to go through. And trying to get myself on the same page here. Okay. Let's start, make life simple. We sent a list of suggestions, Trent, regarding additions to bylaws and/or amendments. And without going through all the detail right now on the bylaw changes, I did notice that some of the crew chief and/or committee chair things were added to the bylaws or clarified, but there remains a number that have not. Can you tell me the status or progress of those items?
I guess so. Which ones were not?
Maintain an accurate roster for insurance purposes. Identify those who are home-based. We have no idea who's home-based versus shared.
And now, when you say home-based, do you mean, what do you mean by home-based?
Those are the individuals that we pay for their workers' comp and liability coverage. They don't belong to the Egg Harbor and also belong to us. Their home base is Egg Harbor, their home base is Jacksonport.
Gotcha.
So of the list of 21 that we have here, I don't have a clue who belongs to the town. Obviously, all the EMRs, not all, but many of the EMRs belong to different groups. For example, Grant Estes belongs to the Jacksonport Fire Department, but he's our EMR. But he's getting equipment from who? Ashley, she talked about, excuse me, not Ashley, Whitney, talked about the fact that she didn't have any equipment, not that she asked us for it, but I'd like to know who's supplying the equipment. If she's a home-based Sevastopol EMR, then we would continue to pay for their workers' comp coverage as well as their liability. We've asked that a number of times, and I believe Ashley understands that because she's had that conversation with Aaron LeClaire, and the number of home-based, if you recall from that meeting a month ago, was 6 at one point in time. And here I have 21, of which I don't have a problem paying, but I'd like to know who, because last year we paid for 21 or 22 and had 6.
We got reimbursed for 6.
We got reimbursed for 6, which the county does for us. So I need to understand the home base, that's versus that. Then the next item on that list, payroll, I think you've covered in your meeting. Accuracy has to be verified by the crew chief and then approved by you.
Yes, that's right.
So if somebody turns in something that we're not familiar with, you'll need to clarify it with Amy.
Yep.
I did see that the new role of the EMR is to take care of the paperwork, but I think we specifically should put in there so they understand that until they're an official EMR on our payroll, we won't pay them. Again, I have no issue paying them, but we've had situations where people are taking calls and they haven't submitted any paperwork. We don't have them on our insurance. I don't think it's appropriate, as any business would, then to pay for the calls that they're taking. Number 4 is maintain an inventory of radios, pagers, and defibrillators by employee name and serial number and age of the equipment.
Yeah, and that is in process. So Ashley
Okay.
has started that inventory. She's reached out to each individual EMR to find out what radio they have, if they can get a serial number off of it, if it's possible to get a date off of that.
Great.
So that is moving.
Okay, and then as part of that, we'd like to know who gave them that radio? Who gave them that pager, right?
Okay.
So,
Oh, as far as what municipality?
Right.
Gotcha, yeah,
So
yeah.
like Ashley
And
said-
that is part of it, I'm sorry. yeah,
okay, so
yes.
they're going to pick that up, because otherwise we have no idea who, again, we have no problem giving them a radio. They don't need 2, obviously, but at the same time, we need to understand who's providing it and what they either need or they don't need. New equipment or replacement equipment orders approved by you and placed through the town treasurer, clerk treasurer. I don't believe that the crew chief should be ordering anything unless it goes through the town office.
Yep, and yeah, we have that in the bylaws now.
I didn't see it to that point. I might find it in there, but,
Okay.
and the last one on the subset is copies of EMR liability insurance coverage should be provided annually to the town. So maybe when they have their organizational meeting, they can drop off a copy of their coverage so that we know that they have the basic coverage on their vehicle.
Sure.
So if you want to add those, refine them, add those to your bylaws, the things that we're missing, that would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, will do.
And that would take care of that.
Okay.
As far as the bylaws go, given that we established that the May 24 bylaws were in effect, and I'll put this up to the town board. There's a question here as to whether or not the current crew chief was elected because we didn't have a quorum, and we also allowed proxy voting, which is not allowed. And to my way of thinking, and I'll wait for the rest of the board to chime in here, in order to follow proper procedure, I think a revote should be taken. I'm not expecting a new candidate to appear, but from a legality standpoint and following Robert's Rules of Order, I think that they think that should happen. And I'll ask anyone else on the board if they have a feeling with that, agreement or disagreement. So, comments from anyone?
I agree that there should be a revote.
Well, so as part of that, at no point in 2024 was there an EMR meeting that would have constituted a quorum. So based on that, none of the EMRs would have been at a meeting that constituted a quorum, so none of them would have been able to vote at a meeting this year that has a quorum. So the way we looked at it was, let's find the right people moving forward, let's get the EMR group together and make the decision to see what we can do. So we did have 2 meetings with quorum this year. The first one had a vote that we ended up redoing a month later. But then we did have, finally, I believe it was the first meeting since 2022 or 2023, they said that had quorum.
All right. As I understand it, and I'm just going from a document I asked Amy to give me, my understanding is that they had meetings last year, and the minutes were given to you, but you didn't give the minutes to Amy until the end of the year, if that's correct?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm just reading off of her notes.
The secretary or minute taker of the 2024 EMRs stated that that's how it was done.
The only point in raising that issue, if it's correct, is that if the meeting minutes weren't sent in to Amy until after the fact, so late after the fact, she wouldn't know whether or not there were quorums, because she wouldn't have been able to tell because she didn't have the minutes. So it's kind of like running around in a circle. That's why you could be right. I'm only going on what I know at this point, but I think a revote would be the easy way to deal with it. At some point in time, I assume you're going to want the EMRs together to review the bylaws.
Yes,
The ones
that's right.
that you're proposing, right?
Yes, yes.
So I think from a business perspective, it would be advisable for them, when you're in a quorum, to have a new election. And like I said, I'm not expecting that you're going to be elected, head of the EMRs or whatever. I'm just saying, I expect Ashley, but in order for it to be proper, I think it should be a revote next time you have a quorum.
Okay. I guess what would make the next one an official vote as opposed to the last one?
Because you'll have a quorum.
Okay.
You would have a quorum, you wouldn't have proxy voting. And so that, by Robert's Rules of Order, you can't have a meeting till you have a quorum, and if you have proxy voting, which isn't allowed, you don't have a quorum, you can't have an election. You can't really have a meeting. So I think if you have your agency meeting following Robert's Rules of Order, you have a revote and you make it official. It's not to say that that individual isn't going to act in that capacity in the interim, but I believe it's the right course of action to take. So if somebody disagrees with me, chime in.
No, I agree.
Okay. I don't know the answer to the question about separation of crew chief, assistant crew chief, and secretary. Has that been talked about?
We did discuss that. So so right now, the same person is being assistant crew chief and secretary.
Right.
We can separate those roles, but we did not have any nominations for a secretary. Nobody stepped up to do that job. Again, the volunteers that are here to help the community, less interested in doing meetings. They want to do their trainings, they want to get out and help people. So we can remove that secretary title from the assistant crew chief. However, we would have to either find somebody to do the secretary duties, or the assistant crew chief would take over secretary duties in the absence of a secretary.
Okay, so let's leave it at this for the short term, at your next agency meeting, when you have a quorum, when you do the revote, ask for somebody to step up and become the secretary.
Okay,
See if, I mean, and then if not, you can come back and tell us, we have to revisit that or rethink that.
sure,
I think that would be, and maybe everybody knowing in advance they're going to be asked won't show up. Who knows? Or feign that they can't type. All right. I think you've addressed the facility question and the agenda, meeting minutes we've talked about. We've got the bylaws, so we'll go through those and see if there's anything that someone has issue with. And speaking of minutes, when you take a look at the minutes that were submitted for the May 7th meeting, I don't think it's quite acceptable to put down payroll process reviewed, call reviewed, inventory reviewed. I mean, that really doesn't tell you anything. If we gave you the town board minutes, you'd,
well, no, so now that meeting is not a public meeting. That meeting, they may go over addresses where calls happened. So the EMR group does have official minutes that instead of reviewed, it goes through and details out what was discussed. But that's not something that we would want to put out there as public information.
no, I wholeheartedly agree, and I think we have said all along that anything that's HIPAA-related would not be, would be redacted, for lack of a better word. So, given that, inventory reviewed, nothing to do with HIPAA. Call, supplies reviewed, nothing to do with HIPAA. Committee updates, nothing to do with HIPAA. So those items that are not HIPAA-related, there should be some verbiage there saying, this is what happened at that meeting, and, here's the output. I think you have a good idea what minutes are like. I saw you type them the other day, so I think you need to address that.
How many meetings did they have in '24?
With a quorum, none. But we came to 7, I believe, last year. Yeah.
I think Kurt said 6 or 7, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
So,
And that's what I just wanted to pull up my email to see. No, I had never received a set of minutes last year. I mean, it's this town email, so if you want to go through them, we can do that, but
okay.
they were not sent
I'm
in.
only going based on the information that I've gotten in terms of what's up. Also, I guess before we go into the bylaws, and there's not that much them in there anyhow, but there are 2 other areas that we should address. One is head count. And as I understand it, the roster that we got now has 21 people on it. And you are authorized to have 20. And if we take a look at the activity level of some of the EMRs for the first quarter, we find some have taken one call, no call, 1 call, 0 calls, 0 calls. There's quite a few that have not taken more than 1 or 2 calls at that. And then there's a couple that have, really done the number, done a dozen, done 13, done 18 calls.
Yes.
So, which has obviously driven up the response rate for the EMRs. But the ones that aren't making the calls, do we want to continue to carry them and to pay, and this goes back to the home. I mean, I have no idea if Joe Collin. No idea if he's home-based, and if we're paying for his liability coverage or workers' comp or whatever. But I think over time, and I believe the county is going to start looking at this. They're going to start looking at the participation rates and whether the county should continue to refund back to us. So I think that's something that you guys need to start taking a look at or anticipating. And then I guess the question is you have 21 people. Do you envision some of those people dropping off, or where do you think this is going?
Possibly. So we did have a discussion on that. I believe there's only one person in the roster that has not gone to any calls in our town or in maybe their home or in neighboring communities. But we can bring that back to them and set up a minimum requirement to maintain status as an EMR.
Well, I think that would be certainly acceptable. I don't know what the board thinks.
Sounds like a good idea.
Pardon me?
It sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, I think that would be great. I mean, it would help the response rate, but also it would justify our investments, especially when you're starting to look at what the county just told us in terms of expense and ongoing expense, $30, $40 for, that'll add up quickly to our budget, although we don't have to worry about it this year. So if you want to address that and bring that back, that'd be great.
Okay, will do.
And let's just talk about the changes you had in the EMR bylaws. Can only hope I find the one that I marked up. This is not it.
You're looking at the proposed changed one?
Yeah, I had it. Question is, I have 3 sets here in front of me and one in the book. Oh, here it is. Okay. All right, sorry, too many copies laying around. All right, I have my copy that I marked up, so I have some idea where I'm tracking here on page 3 of the revised bylaws that you sent. I'll let the board chime in, but as I look at the first, as I understand this, the yellows are the ones that have been changed or tweaked.
Yes,
And
that's
as
right.
I look at the first section under all members must complete state that's recognized, et cetera, I am fine with that. If somebody on the board has an issue or a suggestion, feel free to chime in here so we don't belabor this, but reach some agreement level. Also, the next bullet down where it says emergency responders, not at all, not having illness or disability, I'm good with that.
I have
Pardon me?
You want us to chime in as we go through this?
Yep, please do. So if
Okay,
you
I
have
would just,
something.
in the first paragraph, it is now EMRs, so you could just say patients or other EMRs. You don't have to say emergency
what it was.
responders. Just be consistent. Or are you
Other
talking about
emergency,
somebody else?
yes, it could be other emergency responders such as emergency EMS from
Oh,
Door County
okay.
or anything like that, so.
All
Yeah,
right.
you could have
Thank you.
paramedic in there.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yep.
Okay. Anybody else have a comment on all members must under qualifications?
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the 7th bullet down. Are we missing a word in there? Notify crew chief if problems, medical problems, is it problems or medical problems occur? Is there a
Oh, I
word
think you're right,
missing?
extra word.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or cross out problems. One problem.
The first problem, yeah.
yep, first one. Okay.
Okay.
Good. Okay, personal conduct, all members, anyone have any comments with respect to that? I have none. All right, general duty conduct, all members. The thing I noticed here is there was a deletion there. And the deletion was, will attend monthly meetings on a regular basis.
Yep.
I don't know, I guess maybe I'm too old school. I don't know how they communicate to one another if they never get together. If you don't have any monthly meetings, how do you know what's going on around you? I'm not one that we need to have extra meetings, but even quarterly meetings would imply that you have some idea of what's happening and not just go, once or twice a year?
Yep, so that's what we put in the page 4, the agency and meetings and training sessions, that we would have minimum 2, where all the entire agency gets together with a quorum. But other than that, they will still have meetings as they feel necessary. So if any member of the group has something to bring up, they can contact me or the EMR crew chief to call a meeting, or we'll just continue to have our meetings as we have been, our committee meetings, and then we'll have an agency meeting. If we don't have a quorum, then it wouldn't be an official agency meeting, but they can still have that discussion at that point. But the idea was, you know, these are volunteers, some of them work out of town and then are home on weekends and attend calls. We don't want them to lose their voice in the EMR group or not be able to attend calls anymore just because they can't go to meetings.
Well, you know, I looked at the, to your point here, John Stavinus is only home on weekends. He's taken a ton of calls.
Yeah.
Maybe more of our people should live away. It's not a relevant point, but I was surprised by the number. Okay, so you put that into agency meetings and training sessions?
Yes, sir, on page 4.
Okay. Does anyone have any changes other than that comment under general duty conduct? Hearing none, okay. Under equipment, decision of the crew chief and other officers to assign equipment to members. All right, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, really, that was just in case somebody accidentally drops a radio, or they're gonna be
Right.
charged, yeah, intentional misuse.
Yep. Regular training sessions, remain current and proficient, agency meetings and training sessions.
Can-
Go ahead, please.
Back to that equipment, I noticed that equipment shall be returned. I noticed that within 30 days was added, and the other one didn't have 30 days. Probably neither here nor there, but.
Oh, just to have some kind of a timeline on it, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Timeline's good.
Okay. Agency meetings and training sessions are not open to the public. Members are informed 3 days in advance. Business meetings will be held on a minimum twice per calendar year to address the business of the agency. The following must be met for business meeting conduct. How do you envision communicating to these guys other than once every 6 months? What is the process, if there is one?
Oh, they'll still have their agency meetings and training sessions. It wouldn't require a quorum
Okay.
to vote for, to vote or anything like that. They'll still have their agency meetings and training sessions.
So when they have an agency meeting or training session, we will get a recap of what's happening there?
Yes, yep, they keep minutes on
And
those.
they will give us how many bodies?
The
number-
attendees, yep,
Yeah,
yep.
sorry.
Yeah, it would be just a normal minutes.
All right.
Yep, just like you said, it won't have any HIPAA information in it.
Okay, that's fine.
Dan, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Since we pay them quarterly, how do they expect to get the signatures if they only have meetings twice a year?
Oh, good question.
So again, they're gonna have agency meetings and training sessions, so at any point, they'll be able to do that. It just won't be a regular business meeting, yeah.
No.
Yep.
Ashley was signing them before, or
They were having them being signed before.
before they were filled
Before
in?
they were filled out.
So
And
that's not,
then she would sign them
No,
that's not
No, that was
acceptable.
no.
prior.
That was last year, prior to
Prior.
Ashley, yes, yes.
Okay. So you're comfortable with the process they're going to implement, but we don't know about frequency?
Correct.
Sure. So the way that it works now is anyone who chimes into a call punches in on
Right.
basically an app. So Ashley reviews who punched into that app, and then there's a record of it, because they'll check in to say they're going, they check in to say they got there. So she'll have kind of that as a backup to say, it says that you attended these 6 calls, and they go through and make sure that they didn't need to attend those calls. You
So-
can't just punch in and say, I went to that call and then get paid for it. It won't allow you to do that.
Okay, so since we pay them quarterly, then the responsibility is going to fall back on her or yourself or Whitney to go back to the people that haven't attended a training session to get their pay stub filled out
Yep.
and completed.
That's right, yes.
Okay? Yes, no, indifferent?
That's fine with me. But a different question then is, if they have a meeting, doesn't the meeting have to have a quorum in order for it to happen, because they're considered a governmental agency? Robert's Rules of Order.
Robert's Rules of Order.
And that's where I think, that's why I believe when the attorney helped us with that resolution, they're an agency and not a committee. Because the committee would have to have that, the agency is capable of operating like that. This would be the same thing now, so if we had a call and all the EMRs went, well, that would be considered an open meeting because they went there. So really, no, because this is an agency, they don't have to follow that type of a rule.
Okay.
I'll do a little more research on
Yeah.
that. I don't agree or disagree. I'm kind of, at this point, somewhat neutral in terms of where that goes. If they don't have a quorum, though, at the same time, it would become a training session.
It would be, yes, yep,
All right.
yep.
We'll do a little more digging on that. Recording secretary, let's see, training session. All right, I think minutes cannot contain HIPAA stuff. We've already talked about that, so that's all right. Anything on membership categories?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes, please. So on the one draft, it said must complete, the first bullet from the draft of May of 2024 said probationary member must have completed EMR or higher level training and be licensed and certified. That has been deleted from this new one, Trent.
Yes,
So-
and that's because in order to be an EMR anywhere with the state of Wisconsin, you have to have that designation. So it's not necessary in our bylaws. They wouldn't be able to be an EMR without that.
So does it hurt that it's actually in there?
No,
I mean,
it's-
for
does, but it would be
just for
redundant.
yes,
Yeah.
but sometimes redundancy is not a bad thing.
That's fine.
Okay.
If it's stated elsewhere, then.
Okay. Anything else there? Regular voting members, license, we have that. All right. Selection of new members, this changed quite a bit. New member application submitted to the committee for review and approval, whereas before you had interview sessions, you had quite an extensive process. What's the headset there, or change?
And all that was because that all goes back to that resolution 0206 TB from the town of Sevastopol, and that says that the committee is responsible for hiring the new members. Now,
And go ahead.
so interviews still take place with the crew chief, and the agency does still have that discussion, but all the paperwork and everything comes to the EMR committee, which would be me and the crew chief. And then we make sure that all the paperwork's in line. And I did miss on page 5 there highlighting new applicants will fill out an application and the necessary tax documentation required by the town. So that is included in there.
Okay,
That
so
should be highlighted.
what I would suggest, and I'll leave it open to the board here, I'd suggest you just take that box of data from the selection on the old bylaws and just put it under selection of new members, so we understand your process.
Okay. Sure.
There's nothing different, just delineated. Okay. Then I have,
So you're saying add the bullet points that
add
are
the
in the
bullet points
old-
just
yeah.
underneath, because there's still, what
Yeah.
Trent is saying is all of this occurs,
Yeah.
then we might as well have
Again,
it
it's
defined.
it's clarification, so
Right.
more so that we understand.
Yep, okay. Executive officer position and duties. I don't know if that's quite right, executive officer, but crew chief, would that not be? These are all crew chief requirements, right?
Yep, yes, for that first one would be the crew chief, and then it goes through basically all the elected officers. So in the prior version, it said officers, but then there was reference to an executive board, and there really wasn't, it didn't define it at all. So I put it as executive officer positions because that's who the agency is electing to run to run the agency.
Okay,
I have a question on the first.
please.
On the first bullet, attend EMS meetings, so emergency management services meetings?
Yes.
County?
Yep,
They're
they attend
required to?
county meetings,
Okay, good.
yes. Yep.
Do you want to put on there at the county level, just so it clarifies that? So
County
maybe
EMS meetings.
Sure.
the County.
You can add county, yep.
Training coordination, call of the meeting, executive, okay, this is where, under the crew chief, inventory of supplies and equipment, okay, and maintain call log. I would put in there that specifically outlines what are home-based EMRs.
Yeah, yep. I mean, yeah, I added that note from, okay, yep.
All right, so that we get that on an ongoing basis and that it's updated with Amy, especially at the time that we have to go forward and pay for all the insurance coverage. All right, by payroll. Anybody else have a question on that or comment? If not, okay, you have something?
Well, you know how I am with grammar.
That's fine, have all the grammar you'd
On the
like.
top of page 6, so the first bullet, assistant crew chief.
Oh,
Assist
assist, yes.
chief. Assist crew chief with upkeep.
Oh, gotcha, add crew there,
Assist,
okay.
yeah, and
Yep.
the next 2 down, so 3, just add crew in there.
Gotcha.
Otherwise, we don't know which chief we're talking about.
I see, yep, it could be police chief,
I
fire
don't
chief,
think
it
there's
could be,
enough.
I get you, yep, I
There's not enough
understand.
Indians, that's part of the problem. Requested agency record, okay. Election of officers, 14 days, I think I was okay with. Responsibility of executive officers to operate with the allotted budget. Purchases are discussed and approved by the committee, and this I want specifically laid out. All invoices submitted to the town clerk. There shouldn't be any invoices submitted to the town clerk because she'll order what needs to be done, and therefore she'll have the invoices.
Now, so some
Right.
stuff, it has to be ordered through medical websites that you have to have a state licensure to obtain.
Okay. So work that out, have Ashley work that out with Amy. So can you address that requirement?
Yes.
Okay, just
Okay.
have her work it out with her, whatever
Yeah.
verbiage she
Yeah.
wants in here, so that the gist of it is, and, unless there's that issue, she'll make the equipment purchases, she'll have the invoices, and then she'll have better budgetary responsibility.
All right. I do want to point, and the one issue that we'll run into is you can get pretty good discounts on these websites. The thing we don't want to start doing is going away from the state-sponsored websites for medical supplies and just getting them off of Amazon, because then we might miss recall information and that kind of thing. So we want to make sure that we're buying from the right locations.
Right.
So, yep.
Wholeheartedly agree.
Yep.
There's
Okay.
no issue there, I don't think, with anybody. Suspension of discipline of members. Any comments? Okay,
I think there was a part that we removed from there, and that was on, we would offer counseling, and that was.
that was so wide open, that was scary.
Yes, exactly, yep, yeah, that was something Ashley brought up, that could be like kind of an open checkbook, so we wanted that removed, yeah.
Good.
Yep.
That was a catch from last time, forgot.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Exactly.
I think that's everything that I had. I don't know if anyone else has something on their documents. Mark, anything?
No, I think I'm pretty good for now.
Jeannie?
Under the disciplinary action and your probationary,
Yep.
page
Okay.
7, the probationary period is highlighted. How is that implied?
How's it, I'm sorry, what's that, can you say it again?
Or how is it implied? Disciplinary
that was
action
added, or-
during you added the word, you added probationary period, so during, how does that,
Yep.
how's that applied?
And really, they go back to becoming a probationary member, so it's like being a new member of the group with the rights under the membership categories of probationary member on page 5.
So you're saying that you would downgrade the MR or put them in a probationary status until they've cleaned up their act, for lack of a better word?
That's what
Yeah,
you're saying?
if that's what
Okay.
it, yeah, yep.
Please delineate that then.
Okay.
Put some verbiage that explains that better.
Period. Okay, yep.
All right. So Jeannie, otherwise you're good?
Yep.
Okay, I'm good. Linda?
You had mentioned 21
Oh, I'm sorry.
EMRs, and I keep counting 19.
There's on our On
There's a
our
list.
packet, there's 2 more on there.
There's 2 more on the bottom that were handwritten in.
Oh,
and
not
I
on
just
mine.
get it, Nathan,
Okay.
Nathan Doust and Cheryl Feaster.
yeah.
Got it,
Nathan-
thank you.
Yep, sorry. There's one too many copies of the bylaws and other
That
things.
either.
All right,
Now,
so, go ahead.
so as it, so one of those, like, so Nathan Doust, he's a police officer. I believe actually now he does do fire only. So he's one who does not turn in time. He does not want to be paid for attending EMR calls, but he does still go to calls. So is that, I guess, would he be looked at as somebody who doesn't attend calls because he's not reporting his calls to be paid?
No, not necessarily. Typically, what he does is they fill out a reimbursement, and on the reimbursement, he puts no pay.
Gotcha,
So
okay.
we know that he's either going or not going, so that's how we keep track of it.
Excellent, okay.
I know that there was a question, Whitney, I want to say, said that she had gone to X number of calls last year, but I have no record of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we asked to put, record how many you go to, and if you don't want to get paid for them, that's fine.
Yep.
But at least we have something to fall back on, because we are still paying, the work comp and liability insurance.
Perfect. Can you tell me one more time what that's called? It was paid and unpaid after, or what did you say?
No pay.
No
he
pay,
just
thank
puts
you.
on there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so for tonight's discussion, we're done on EMRs. We will ask you, I know you love this opportunity, to go back, tweak it, come back in June. Assuming we can all agree, we can then proceed and you can go back and do your thing. So, obviously, I know you're new in the position and in the roles, but you are the gatekeeper there, and you're gonna, if you have questions on something, ask us, and we'll try to avoid future conflicts as much as possible, or whatever, so, okay. If I can find my agenda, I'll know where we are.
Like, before we move, can I just clarify?
Sure, go ahead.
If we do another vote with a quorum.
Yep.
And the same outcome comes through, can we guarantee that's the last time we'll have to do it?
Well, I would think so.
Okay, all right.
I mean,
Okay.
generally speaking, when we have a proper meeting and a proper quorum and a proper vote, we don't do it again,
Okay.
so.
Well, we did.
We did ask it to be redone, and then it's getting redone again, so I just
I
want to
know.
make sure.
Yeah,
that-
'cause
that goes in the minutes, that
Trent's
if this.
point, this has been approved by a member of committee of 5, so I understand why he's asking that question.
Well,
Because this was, I mean, well, there's no nothing. This was approved by us.
Right,
You
it
signed it.
was
so
approved,
that's-
correct.
I'm just.
but there was not a crew chief.
Right.
At that time, it was Kurt. So when you have the,
That's fine, but I'm just saying, that's why he needs to ask these questions,
Mm-hmm.
to see if it's gonna happen every year when we decide to bring it back up.
no, it'll be
Say
when there's a crew chief. Go ahead, Amy.
I think that if you read those bylaws, the bylaws that are in place, there was exceptions on who could vote and who couldn't vote, based on how many calls you went on and how many meetings you attended the previous year.
That's
So I want to say that the last time, the question was, all these people are coming to vote, but they hadn't gone to meetings or hadn't attended more than half of the calls. So that would make them not eligible to vote. And that currently is how the 2024 bylaws are reading. And I think, to Dan's point, that's why he wants to go back and go the way that the bylaws read and have that vote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're right. I had forgotten about the fact that we had that situation in the bylaws, so it's nothing more, I know it's redundant from your perspective, but it's nothing more than to correct something that should have been corrected, just like a few months ago when we did the settlement on the pool, the swimming pool, and we covered it 6 ways from Sunday, but we forgot to make it public, and therefore we had to cover it the following month and say, we had settled this issue, so similar situation. All right. Allocation of funds from selling the reserve liquor license. Amy tells me that we have the cash in hand,
We do.
and so I'd like some input on directionally where we think we're going to go with it. I know there's one person here that has a feeling. We're going to give it to all the people on Rock Ridge Road? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I didn't hear that correctly.
I don't think that was an official motion.
All right. So,
Are you asking for it?
I'm asking.
Well, depending on what the radios and the pagers, you know, what we might be responsible
yeah.
for, we could bank it for that. The concession stand has already started a little bit of tear down on the inside. I could see banking some for that. We could spend it very easily.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
plus 100.
I mean, I don't disagree with you. I think the concession stand, we should earmark some funds out of that for the concession stand. Excuse me, as part of our broadband, we're gonna have an internet drop there, and I mentioned this at the park meeting and others. I wanna put a camera or two in the park. I should have had an estimate today, so I could at least outline that, but I don't.
We do have some money in the broadband fund.
Did we park some aside from that
Well,
yet?
we had put 75,000 in at one time. It's still sitting there. Now I think it's at 80 or so, isn't it, Amy?
I believe you're
Yeah,
right.
Is it?
it's around
Okay.
80,000, so
All right.
I don't know, I don't have any idea how much the cameras would
What
be
those
for
are,
a park,
um,
but,
Go ahead.
In what I showed you, what we have, and then what our prospective bills are going to be.
Oh,
That
on the chart?
75 is worked in there.
It is?
Yes.
Okay. I have that. There was so much on the agenda, I didn't bring it forward tonight, but I've laid out all the payment streams and when we have to borrow funds to cover it. So forget the 75, it's already in the numbers.
oh, you used it.
No, but it's in the, it's
will
in the
be.
calculations.
It will be. That's what
It's in
I'm
the
saying.
calculations to be used.
Okay, I
for
thought
the-
you were going to keep that aside for the cameras, but,
I
okay.
think, I think the treasurer side of the clerk decided to abscond with it. She's
Who knew?
moved it.
I'm working into
Okay.
what we need.
So, I guess another way we could do is we could just put this aside, and once we get a better handle on the concession stand, then figure out what that is of the, if you agree, and then figure out what we want to do with the rest, where we want to earmark it.
Well, we got,
Park it somewhere where we're earning
Yeah,
the maximum
That's,
interest.
that sounds reasonable.
yeah, if they're thinking 50% will be our cost for the radios, that's 20, almost 26,000, 25,500.
And we can set that aside, but it sounds to me like from what Ken's saying, we may not even have that expense to 27 or even
Yeah,
28.
so if we just put that,
So,
Keep that in mind
put a
for,
CD or
Okay.
whatever, we can money mark
so
it
Amy, why don't you park it in an account
until we actually get
as
numbers.
a committed,
Yeah.
and then, once we get the concession stand numbers, we'll get some idea where to go.
And the LGIP, I believe, is paying over 4% right now, so that would be a good place to put it.
Okay.
Is that no risk?
Oh, no.
LGIP is no risk.
Okay,
no,
perfect, thank you.
it's a
Yep, thank you,
bank.
yep.
All right.
Do we need to make a motion to put that away?
Sure, if you like.
Go ahead, Linda.
Linda, if you choose not to do a motion, I'll take my own. lead.
Okay, with regard to the funds received from our selling our reserve liquor license, I would move that we temporarily park it in an account earning maximum interest pending further discussion on what we're going to do with it. Did you want to list the suggestions or just let it go at this point?
I think one of them we should at least say is that some portion of those funds dedicated to the remodel of the concession stand, and the rest to be determined.
All right, I will add that to my motion with
Okay.
Second.
Well, that was generous of him, wasn't it? We have a motion by Linda, courtesy of Mark, and a second by Mark. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, away we go. Linda, you got newsletter, summer 2025?
I do. So obviously, our newsletter would highlight the new restaurants with some photographs, and then to kind of like.
Restrooms? We're not serving anything there, Linda. Definitely not serving anything in
We
now.
don't have a restaurant?
We're gonna put one in soon. Those people on Rock Ridge are
see how
hungry.
far those funds go.
Well, maybe when we remodel the concession stand, we could have a sit-down restaurant. I don't know.
Yep, one stool.
So we'll highlight our new restrooms, and then to kind of tie into that, there are other somebody, Mr. Schmeckpepper, as a matter of fact, mentioned that we have lots of other parks and recreational facilities in their town, and just off the top of my head, I think I came up with 8 or 9. So list all of those recreational facilities that are available. Clerk Amy suggested maybe something on explaining how a referendum works, because people do ask that on Election Day. And then also, so we had our new zoning administrator here, who previously worked at the Peninsula Research Station. So maybe a combination article on that, because the research station does play an important role. I don't think a lot of people know exactly what they do. And then also tie in the master gardeners. So all this stuff happening in our
The
town.
garden door, yeah.
Amy also suggested Jason Miller with the Door County Invasive Species Program. He might have some insight on how we can help with that. And also, I think we should recognize our cable extraordinaire person, Laddie Chapman, recognize him with,
I agree.
for all the work that he has done in the past and still continues to help us out on a variety of items. We could do a short blurb, I suppose, on the AT&T update, and maybe something on our our EMRs, so. Those are the ideas that I have. If you have more, please let me know, or come up with something. We were shooting for a June 1st deadline. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. So just do your best to maybe get a draft or something to me. Okay? Thank you.
All righty. And are we trying now for a June? Have the articles in June? You're trying for August? Or
Well-
what's your hope to publish date?
The middle of summer is a nice time to get the newsletter out because our visitors are up here and their mailboxes are reinstated for deliveries. Because this will go to, it's rural route delivery. It goes into every mailbox. So
So we'll say, trying to get
maybe
the articles
like
June. and-
August 1st, if we could get it out by August 1st.
So
So you'd have
articles
to have a
by-
draft of things in June.
That would be nice.
Okay. Sounds good.
And I apologize, I have a cough drop in my mouth because my throat is really dry.
Wow, we're down to a driveway permit application for Rock Ridge Road.
Zipping right along.
All
Yeah,
right.
moving right along. All awake out there?
I hope there's no one still here for the Hohenfelder rentals. All right. Amy, excuse me. Linda,
Can I start?
please.
Thank you. I'm going to refer you first to the driveway application that was submitted back in January of this year. So the driveway application asks for a driveway permit for lots N1 and N2. I wish we had the overhead. Oh, we do. I should go up there or not.
You got your candy cane?
That looks a little weird.
Well, Rock Ridge is over on, so,
Oh, okay.
yep, you know where you are.
North is facing.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, Amy,
Our laser pointer,
I was gonna say, if you go down to 17, it has the lots numbered.
a laser pointer on the screen, it does
Okay.
not work.
Yeah. Hey, Linda. Linda, I'm gonna have her go to 17, and that has the lots numbered for you.
Oh, perfect.
Yep,
Thank you.
okay.
Yes, that's exactly what I need. Anyway, if you look at, I don't need this yet, the original driveway permit asks for a driveway permit for this parcel and this parcel. Coming off of this parcel, which she's not, you know, if you want a driveway permit, you need to have all 3 parcels on there.
Linda, yeah, if you talk into the mic, that would be good.
Oh, okay.
Or pick it up.
So the driveway permit asks for driveways for lots 2 and lots 1. You're asking for your driveway to actually come in on lot 3 because you claim that it abuts the cul-de-sac, correct? So you would want your driveway off the cul-de-sac here, going west to serve this parcel and this parcel, right? And these are zoned small estates. Lot 2 is, so the minimum acreage for small estates, SF20, I'm sorry, not small estates, SF20, is 2.5 acres. So this far parcel is 1.73 acres, cannot be divided. This parcel is 2.01 acres. Under the current zoning, it cannot be divided, according to my research at the land records anyway. So we talked about this last time. You said it would be access to those 2 parcels only, correct? Yes. And you plan to develop them. So now we're going to have a lot of construction equipment coming in on Rock Ridge. You know, that was not a dead end, more or less. So construction, you know, going to those 2 parcels if and when they get developed. I just, again, when you say that, so this is County P up here. When you say that the county will not give you a driveway, but when we say we don't want to give you a driveway, I mean, if it's good for one, it should be good for us. You reference the statute saying that a village, a town, a county cannot deny a driveway to a parcel that abuts its street or roadway. So I don't see how the county can say no, and we can't say no. Also, you have this planned roadway from a previous plat, correct? There's like some shrubs or something here, little brush.
Plum trees.
You know, so, and you claim that this would be shorter, so going from here to here to here to here to here, and then really isn't much shorter than coming off of P and going right across. Does that make sense? You're shaking your heads like I'm saying something that's not correct.
I don't understand why you say the county can't say no, yet you can say no as the county.
Well, if the county, why
You-
does
you
the
mentioned the
county get to say
statute.
no? I happen to have that statute right here.
The other thing you mentioned was that that was private property, and I think we kind of proved that that's not the case.
Well, I looked at the survey, and, I mean, that's debatable, whether the entire, you know, if this is the entire paved surface, or if it's just 60 feet, and there's right of way.
There's 3 different plans that show the town property is
Okay.
the property.
All right, well. So if we compromised and gave you one driveway,
Gary,
would you agree that it will never be a through street?
Yes.
These parcels will be strictly single-family residential?
Yes.
Not subdivided ever? Okay. And if you're having a bunch of construction, you know, if there's road damage,
Yeah, that's a given.
okay, so I'm going to look to the rest of the board here.
what's a given related to road construction? I mean,
If there's damage done and whoever takes care of the road sees there's damage, we'll repair it, just like any place else we do work.
Here, I found the statute, okay. Rights of abutting owners. The owners of land abutting on any highway, street, or alley shall have a common right in the free and unobstructed use of the full width of the highway, street, or alley. No town, village, city, county, company, or corporation shall obstruct the right to use that highway. So like I said, why does the county get to say no? And we can't say no?
Please speak into the mic because it helps
They
the
had
audience.
had determined that it was a safety issue with the hill to the west of the lot on County P, with that hill being a little bit steep and the visual, there was a lack of visibility from a safety standpoint, however, they figured their calculations.
Well, this map shows that there is a plotted road in there. And I did contact, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I did contact the county. There's apparently been no, at least to their knowledge, they have no written communication. I know they have talked with you, but they have nothing in writing that says they have denied it. So I think what Linda's coming is saying that,
We've got a copy of that,
you do?
not with us at this point, but yeah, we were turned down.
Okay, we have not, I've asked them for it, and they've given us nothing. So if you have it, I'd like it.
I'm not sure if he did, but he told me,
He said, there was verbal
Yeah.
conversations, both parties, Randy and Thad, said no, indicated that, but neither one of them had any written documentation relative to this, and I had asked them for that. Given the statute, you have as much right to access there as you would, in theory, off of ours. And the difference is, we have all these people from Rock Ridge that really don't want to have that added access. And the people on the opposite side, where there's already a road platted, don't seem to mind. So the easier fix is, rather than, what's the word I want? The easier fix is for you to come off a Dunn Road, and until the county says that you absolutely can't,
County.
I'm sorry, County Road, then I would rather go that route than give you a permit to cross over or off of Rock Ridge.
Especially since the easement is already there, coming off of P, not on the hill.
You're there.
It's down the hill. The easement is already there. And I think the basis for this was our neighbors along that street expected it to remain a dead end, a cul-de-sac, a family-friendly neighborhood. They didn't expect to have additional driveways off of it. That's my main objection to granting this. When you have another alternative that is not going to disrupt anyone else's property, it comes right across property that you already own and plan to develop anyway, why disrupt another neighborhood when you can come in, utilize your own property?
It's there.
So I guess what we're saying is we're throwing it back in the laps of the county.
Well,
May
or
not
they
be-
can decide to use what's already existing.
Well, no,
What's there.
I agree with that, but I mean, until somebody at the county officially can come up with some reason why they can't access that, even though they have nothing in writing that says that.
I can talk to Randy Dvorak again, get something in writing, either way,
All right.
see what he says.
And I would tell you, I mean, I'll do it if you don't, but I would say, give them a copy of the statute and ask them to tell you why it doesn't apply to the county, and yet it applies to us.
Sure,
That's our
I can do that.
issue, if you want to call it that, not to be.
Okay.
I know you'd like to do this during our lifetime, but. And then, believe me, I'd like to go on to something else. I mean, between EMRs and this property in Rock Ridge, I'm stuck.
And could I make one more comment as well? Using, you know, you want the access off of Rock Ridge to save yourself some distance on creating a private road or driveway, or whatever. But just looking at the dimensions coming off of P to the east of the Nelson property, 247 feet, and you're already at, it's less than like 175 feet difference as far as length goes.
So I assume that,
And if you're going to repair the road from construction trucks, you'd be better off coming off of P. Again, it just boils down to respect for the neighborhood. I don't know if any of the neighbors wanted to comment or not, Mr. Chairman, or, but I
I
think
don't know, from the
we
looks
heard
of their
them last time.
faces, I do not think I want to ask. I think I know what they're thinking. I could be completely wrong. I mean, we're trying to find some middle of the road, but there doesn't appear to be an easy middle of the road. So we're just trying to do what's right for the townspeople that are concerned and at the same time not prohibit your development. But I got to ask you to go back to the county and have them tell me. Yes, miss?
Give her the mic if she's going to speak. Wait for the mic. Could you give her the mic, please? Or speak?
Let's just talk to the county and we'll be seeing in a month.
And we'll put you on the agenda next month first. Ahead of EMRs, ahead of everything else. All right. Appreciate your patience. All right. All right. With that being said, Linda, you want to?
Now they're going to need the mic, so.
Maybe we should take like a small break.
Go ahead.
So wait till they all leave, then you all know.
Can I go grab a drink of water or something?
Sure.
Okay.
We're going to take a 2-minute recess. Somebody needs to use the restroom or drink of water.
That'd be good. Where's the mic? Oh, it's on the table.
Squeeze the bottom.
Squeeze, yeah.
You need
A little
help?
bit more. There you go.
Good.
Turn it the other way, Mark. Thank you.
Remember that?
They're all going to see us next month.
Let's not publish the date of our meeting. Oh, sure.
Is this a bathroom?
Okay,
Yeah.
and do you have the one with the blue marking up?
Yep.
that- We're only going to look at those two, I
New
think.
business G, I got
Yep.
great ideas for speaking for the meeting.
For what?
For speaking for the meeting for the WTA.
Oh, good.
Steve and Mike Perry can come and talk about their driveway. And the Rockbridge people can speak as well.
We could do another item if you wanted while waiting for the Zerans to come back.
We don't have meetings. I don't, yeah.
Oh.
The last part, once we get over this, it should go pretty well.
Famous last word.
They, the RPC approved Russ Burry's zone request.
Joel said on Friday.
Oh, did I?
It was pretty early in the morning, you probably didn't remember, Linda.
Probably not.
You think Gary's here for the whole rental?
One last call.
One last call. Are you here for the whole? You know our rental
You know,
rezone? Is that what you're here for? Okay, good.
no, the parents, in the past, like in Bailey's, Joe Bailey's house out in the lake, he gave two $30,000 donations to different things. Maybe we can get some donuts.
All right. All right, let's pick up where we left off. Next discussion item will be about Robin and Karen Zoran. A petition for a variance from sections on the Door County Shoreland zoning ordinance, which requires structure additions to be at least 75 feet, in case you're looking, it's not 55, from the ordinary high water mark. Applicants are proposing to expand an existing footprint of a single-family residence and build a 3-story addition located 35 feet from the ordinary high water mark. Property is located at 5457 Bay Shore Drive. And with that, I will turn the discussion over to Linda.
Okay, I'll go back to my candy cane. So the plan, whoops, I gotta use the microphone.
Yes.
All right, thank you. So the Plan Commission heard this last Tuesday night, and it was unanimous. No, I'm sorry, the vote was 4 in favor and 1 opposed to submit a recommendation of support to the town board. So if you just, the foundation is, there's a new foundation, which you can see that from the pictures in the packet, right in the same spot as the old foundation. So you know that it's kind of like grandfathered in. So even though it was 35 feet or so from the shoreline, it was grandfathered in because the original structure was there before zoning came into place. So the only 2 pieces that the variance will apply to are these 2 little blue squares. So I'm going to pick this up. So Mr. Zoran put in his foundation, which was permitted, and the foundation runs straight across here, okay? This is the piece that is out of compliance, I'll say, because in the original structure, there was an alcove here, and there was a birch tree in the middle. So the birch tree died and was removed, obviously. There was what appears to be maybe a foundation or something along here, but it wasn't quite apparent. So again, when Mr. Zoran had the foundation poured, he poured it straight across the front. So this little piece in here, which is like 7 by 5 or 7 by 6, is not grandfathered in. And then this piece up here, and you can see it from the pictures, there's an existing deck on the 2nd floor. He wishes, or they wish to expand that deck by, I don't have the numbers in front of me, 8 feet or something like that, 10 feet. So again, because that was not existing, not grandfathered in, this would request a variance as well. A variance to the 75-foot setback, and this would be about 35 feet from the shoreline. So those are the 2 areas in question. The reason for the Plan Commission's support was that it was an existing structure, which was already within the high water mark delineation. The 2 small inlets, if the foundation, if there was an alcove, Mr. Zoran can explain that it would not be of benefit. The 42 square foot deck up here, pretty nominal extension. We felt that, adding a new home with those additions would add value to the town, of course. And the ordinance went into effect, obviously, after the original structure was built. We felt that the proposal is still consistent with our comprehensive plan because it remains residential in a residentially zoned area. Concerns or objections that we talked about, the current drawing in the packet, the height limit is 35 feet, and Mr. Zoran indicated that the architect had adjusted that they would not exceed
the height limit. So that is pretty much what we discussed.
Any comments relative to this?
Thank you.
Microphone,
You can use that mic right there.
good try.
The whole thing is simple, I think.
Robin?
Robin, just hold it right there.
Pick up the mic right out of the
Just pick-
handset and hold it.
There
There
you
you
go.
go.
There you go.
So just like TV.
Just a little history. 2 years ago, I asked the county planning for the expansion. They came and they measured. They said within 35 feet, it's okay. I said, how about the connecting that where the blue one? I said, how about connecting that because it's about 7.4 inches, 7 feet, 4 inches. They said, no, don't do that because the board is not going to approve it. I said, okay. I had my architect draw the plan, and the architect did some work before that, the original plans, and he did have a problem with the landing, and therefore the inspector said it's not going to be approved. Meanwhile, the county approved it, but the inspector said it's not going to be approved. Okay. I had to go and hire another architect company, architect and structural engineer. When they did the plan, the new architect and structural engineer said, look, you would have a problem if you do not connect those things together. So I didn't do it at the beginning, just listening to what they said. And they said, no, you can't, because you would have a lot of problems. Broken windows, ice, snow, accumulation. And by the time you get done, you'll have constant problem, and we're not going to design it because we will have malpractice. It'll cause problems. They communicated that with the plan commission, the gal who was in charge of it. She said, well, I'm neutral, but this is within 55 feet, so you have to apply for the board. We applied for it in January of this year. And I asked her, I said, are you against it or not? She said, no, I'm not, I'm neutral. Now it changed again. They just sent me a letter last week saying 75 feet, not 55 feet. And the reasoning for the 75 feet and not 55 feet is the property south of us was purchased through, from somebody else. And they demolished the house, and they said there's no averaging. So now 55 feet it was last year, and now it became 75. I asked Mr. Kuso, what do I want to do? He said, you have to destroy everything and start over. I said, how am I going to do that? I already spent more than $300,000 to do the background. And they said, well, if you want this, you have to go 75 feet. I said, well, that's not going to work. But then I asked him a question. I said, I asked him, I said, look, that the new house is almost maybe 15, 20 feet from the water. And why isn't 75 feet? And I was shocked. I got no answer. Because they had no averages, because the lot was empty. So what I'm asking, on the deck upstairs, it doesn't exceed the lower deck. You know, the ground level, it doesn't exceed it. It is exactly with the same line. So this, in summary, is the problem. It is a very simple thing. It is not rocket science to say, look, why would we want to make a cove here to accumulate wind, and sometimes the wind on the bay could cause problems. It did before. with us. So that's what I'm asking is the board to understand my situation and Karen, and see what we are. We're not trying to grab. We're not trying to do additional or trying to manipulate. We're not. We didn't do it at the beginning until the new structural engineer said it's not going to work. He won't do it. And he sent a letter to that effect. So based on that, I think it's a small thing. Now the deck upstairs, there's no harm to anyone. The people to the north are about 400 feet. The people to the south is empty lot and then another 300-400 feet. So it's looking straight west, no harm to anyone. And when you look at the statute says it's the harm to environment. No, and I'm not going to go through the whole statute or the ordinance to you guys. You know it more than I'll ever know. But where's the logic into this thing? And I am really appreciative if you could consider what we're talking about. And ask any questions you want, I may answer.
Could you clarify something for me, Mr. Zaran? What was the square footage of that alcove? I think it was like 6 by 8 or something. And what is the square footage of lengthening the deck on top? I can't find my measurements.
If I go there, I could show you. Actually, they have 3 different measurements that they sent us. One, Tara sent the original, the measurements. Then I asked her after our meeting here, why didn't you send me what you sent to the township? She said, well, I'll send it to you again. I never did. So now, I just want to show you.
Yeah, I think I just found it on your architectural drawings.
Right here.
Yep.
She measured the concrete, and the code says the living area. So the living area inside is 7.4 feet. I measured it by 6 because she measured here and measured here and measured here from the outside, which the outside would be inside anyhow.
Okay, yeah, that clarifies that. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then the deck on top, you're extending that by how many feet? 6 feet?
I would say about 8 feet going
Okay.
this way from here. Now, this is above the lower level, which is constant all the way to here. All the way, it's extend all the way. It doesn't stop in the bottom.
Yes.
So we even reduced this deck upstairs.
Okay. All right, thank you. Yep, thank you.
Questions from anyone?
What was the reasoning was there any reasoning giving why they voted no, the one member?
Could we have Mr. Zettel respond to that?
Sure.
Okay. Mr., or maybe, okay, he doesn't care to respond? All
You
right.
don't have to.
Okay. I didn't know, just some things, what they were brought up.
All right. I have no questions, is it? Jeannie?
No.
Trent, anyone?
Nope.
Then, with no objections, a motion to do something.
Okay, I will make a motion to send a recommendation of support, and this is going to the Door County Board of Adjustment, supporting the Zaran request for a variance as to the
Shoreline zoning.
as to shoreland zoning specific to the 2 areas as outlined in the packet.
And I'll second.
All right, motion by Linda, second by Trent. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you very
You're
much.
on to the next committee.
Thank you.
All right. Leave our microphone, please. It's not paid for. All right. Next on the agenda is the Hofelter rental
No.
rezone application. Whoa,
Uh-oh.
no, it isn't.
Got a new bill.
And these people had gone through the process with the Plan Commission, and we anticipated their appearing here this evening, but early this evening, prior to the meeting, town clerk received a written communication saying they're withdrawing their application to rezone. In discussion with Linda about this, I think the proper course of action from our perspective is to we know where the Plan Commission stood on this, which was to deny the application. So I think we should formalize that, just to be on the safe side, and send a recommendation off to Land Use Services, so that in the event that this gets resurrected again, we've taken an official position. And that would be my recommendation. If anybody has a issue or concern, let me know.
I think that's a good idea to send a recommendation, as you stated, Mr. Chairman, on behalf of the Plan Commission to recommend denial should that request resurface.
Okay. So we would like to do that through a motion that we are officially,
Sure. I would make a motion that on behalf of the Plan Commission, we send a recommendation of denial to the RPC, the Door County RPC, with the comments that should the matter resurface, this is the action that the Plan Commission took on May 13th, 2025,
okay.
and that the board did not address it.
Motion by Linda, second by,
I'll second.
second by Trent. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, great. Geez, this is an easy one. Town rummage sale, Saturday, June 21st.
I think we should let our clerk tell us all about it.
That's- I was just going to.
Okay.
The flyer?
I don't even have it in front of me. So the town will be holding its rummage sale and community day on June 21st. I still have places available. It's a free event. You don't have to pay for a spot or anything. You just have to pay, or you just have to come and put your stuff in, whatever you want to sell. And we're also going to have ice cream for anyone who wants to come. Check out the park, check out the new restrooms, go look at the pickleball court, all these improvements that we've done to the park for the community.
Perfectly
Leave your
said.
dogs at home, please.
Do you,
Gotta say it, 'cause people can't read.
did you intend to have a noon cutoff? That seems awful early to me.
It seems early, but then
It's up to
people
you, I'm
who
just,
shop, they just come early. It really dwindles off when it gets to around noon.
If it's open at 8, they're there at 7:45.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or 7:30.
yeah,
Yes.
that's fine. If you're happy, I'm happy.
No.
Okay.
Well, and if people dribble in, we'll be there, but really by 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock for sure, it's so dead that you're just sitting there twiddling your
By,
thumbs. so.
by noon, the $5 items become nickels and
Right, half off
boxes
of
of-
everything. Free.
All right.
Okay.
And the town will be providing ice cream treats, and you can park for free.
and a playground for the kids.
There you go. All right, sounds good. Thanks for the hard work on it, Amy. Coastal Byways, sponsorship of the Raybrook Grant.
Okay.
I was approached by our representative to the Coastal Byways, asking if we would sponsor a grant. And I'm going to let that representative tell you more. Linda?
I should have given this to Ryan ahead of the meeting, and he could have posted it on our channel. I don't know if he has an option to see this or not. This is our Door County Coastal Byway. This is the third run of coloring books, so like 10, 20, 30 coloring books we have ran. And we're not sure we even have enough to make it through this visitor season, but they're not cheap. So to run like 10,000 copies is like $8,000. So we are hoping, Ann Miller, the chair, and myself met with a representative from Raybrook Foundation in Sturgeon Bay last week, and we were provided with the information for making an application to them for some funds. So of course, the Coastal Byway would contribute some, but hopefully be approved for a grant for the Raybrook Foundation. But they need a sponsor. And since the Coastal Byway is part of an intergovernmental agreement, she asked if we could get one of the municipalities to sponsor. So of course, I offered the town of Sevastopol. We used the town when we did our kiosk, our Coastal Byway kiosk through Raybrook, and I think we used it for one other thing too.
We
But-
used it for the pickleball court
For
and the
the pickleball.
restroom.
Right. So, and it would require, if we are awarded a grant, the funds would come into our account, and I'm thinking just park it in our general checking account, and hopefully it would just be one or two checks out. There would just be one vendor involved, so we're not putting any burden on our clerk at all, but she would have to, it would have to be designated in our account, you know, specific for the Coastal Byway. So if you could approve that, I would appreciate it, and we'll let Raybrook know.
I think I heard Jeannie say she was going to make a motion. Did I?
I certainly can. What, except that Linda would probably do a better job of it. She knows what she
What
wants.
is this? Is this past the motion?
I mean, I serve with her on that committee.
Why don't you take it?
Although I am
You
not a
can second
voting
it.
member.
Okay,
so.
I'm make a motion that the town of Sevastopol sponsor a grant application and work with the Raybrook Foundation
Motion by Linda.
towards,
I'll second
towards a
that.
reprint of the Door County Coastal Byway coloring book.
There, second.
Second by Jeannie. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
All right. We are on a long meeting. All right, next up on our agenda is the Ordinance Committee updates on repealed ordinances. And believe it or not, Trent, take us through where we're going to go here.
All right, so our ordinance committee started this year, and we went through 103 ordinances that we had on file, which I will now read to you individually. No, but we broke them into 4 categories. And just real briefly, the first one was, first category was any ordinance that's already been specifically repealed, replaced, or disregarded. So those, all we plan on doing is putting away for historical purposes. We'll have an archive kind of website where people can go and look at those if they'd want to. Section 2 is ordinances that are in effect and have no further action required, so we're just going to leave those alone. Those will be, and I'll get to what our eventual goal is. Number 3 is the ones that we wanted to address tonight. Those are ordinances that are outdated and no longer relevant, and they're really recommended for mass repeal by the Board of Supervisors here. So they're ordinances that are, they're listed because they haven't been specifically replaced or repealed by other ordinances. We have various reasons for why they're no longer in effect. It could be because something new came along, but we didn't repeal the old one, or it could be because the issue is now covered by the county or state. So really, or some of them were really only relevant for a short time. So what we want to do is kind of have the board do a mass repeal of anything that's listed in Section 3 so that they can be archived and really put into Section 1. So they'll be there for historical purposes, but they don't have any effect on anything going forward. And then Section 4 is 9 ordinances that eventually, not tonight, we're going to want to review and go through and just update them. Some deal with fines, or some of them contradict other ordinances, and we just want to make sure that we have the right things. So our ordinance committee is going to go through those in a little more detail and make recommendations to the board in future meetings, you know, as time permits. Our eventual goal with this is to get all the ordinances that are active on a website that people can search for. So if they want to see snowmobiles, they'll type in snowmobile, it'll pull up any snowmobile ordinance that they have that's current. And then if they wanted to look in the archive, they could look there too, but we want to make sure those are specifically listed, that they're not in effect. So really what I'd be looking for tonight is a motion to repeal all the outdated and ineffective ordinances listed in Section 3 of your handout.
All right. And we know from going back to Wisconsin Towns Association that we can do these because none of these involved public hearings or anything else along those lines. So there is a requirement that you publish these repealed ordinances, correct?
Yes, there is.
Okay, so, what's the best way to do this one? Do we, we'll just detail all ordinances covered under section 3 included in the packet would be repealed? Does that sound like where you want to go?
Yes, that's what I'd
Yeah,
like
we
to do.
can't,
Yeah.
we can't name them, some of them don't even have names.
I know, that's, well, trust
So-
me.
Right.
I mean, I'm sad to see one from 1943 leave, but, you know.
I've got one here. All right, so Trent,
Sure.
why don't you take your best shot at
All
what
right.
you'd want?
Sure, sure. So I would make a motion that the board repeals all outdated and ineffective ordinances listed in section 3 of the packet. And we will detail those, make them public, which ordinances are gone, but again, they are not in effect.
Second.
All right,
And I would just like to add that Supervisor Olson has done the majority of the work on this project with spreadsheets and lists and everything else.
done.
And our other committee members too, with Laddie Chapman, Jeff Schmeck-Pepper, our clerk, Amy Fluck. I mean, we're continuing to work, but it's really moving along much smoother than I ever thought.
I agree with that, because I thought we were gonna have to painstakingly go through each and every one of these things until the cows came home.
That's next meeting.
The cows come home ordinance is coming up too.
Yeah, it's true. All right, so we have a motion from Trent, a second from Mark. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Amy, make it happen.
Sounds good.
Trent, I did find some things
Yeah.
on page 4, or item 4, ordinances requiring replacement.
Yeah.
Under 87-287, use of Whitefish Bay boat ramp.
Yes.
Believe it or not, I found an ordinance in my park file that changed those hours to 11 to 6 a.m. You can have it.
Wow.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, all right.
When I started digging, all wonderful things pop up. All right. Ordinance Committee, we've resolved that. Okay, next item revolves around the Sevastopol Program Director changes.
And
Our program,
videographer.
our program director for the past number of years was Laddie Chapman. Laddie's not here tonight. But with the shutting down of our charter public access TV station or channel, and the migration of our board meetings, which are being broadcast now on the YouTube channel, the role of the program director has been eliminated. Laddie has been in that position, as well as other video production roles for the town for the past 23 years. And we would like to acknowledge Laddie's many contributions to the town in that capacity. Laddie has indicated, although he will not be the program director since that position doesn't exist, Laddie has indicated he will still continue to act as the outside videographer for selected community and town events. So you've seen him at the farm breakfast and the threshery and other things. He anticipates still working to do those and putting those on our YouTube channel for broadcast. With that said, I would ask Jeannie, the chair of the Communications and Technology Committee, to introduce you to our new video operator, Ryan Hoffman. Jeannie?
I'd just like to add my thanks to Laddie. He's probably watching tonight, and it was my honor to work with you, and I wish you the very best, and I hope you will continue to do community events for us. So it's also my pleasure to introduce our new videographer. At this time, I'll introduce Ryan Hoffman, who will be serving as the new videographer for the town of Sevastopol. Ryan is the owner of FTS Technology, a small business based in Algoma that provides IT support and technology services to local businesses and individuals. While his professional background is in technology, Ryan has had a long-standing interest in DJing, whatever that means, and video editing, both of which naturally tie into his passion for tech. His experience with video began back in 2000 when he assisted the Wrightstown School District in launching their digital video editing classroom and student-produced video announcements. Although video remains a hobby rather than a full-time pursuit, Ryan is looking forward to using his skills to help make our meetings more accessible to residents. We're pleased to have him involved and appreciate his willingness to support our community in this way. Ryan, do you have a minute to just pop your head out or not?
See if you can find a camera.
He's
alive.
he's back there somewhere. There he is. Hi, Ryan. Welcome.
Is there? All right, thank you. All right, thanks, Jeannie.
You're welcome.
Next item is the speaker ideas for the August Wisconsin Towns Association meeting at the town of Sevastopol. So Linda is asking for some help here.
Yes, the town of Sevastopol will be hosting our Door County unit of Wisconsin Towns Association on Thursday evening, August 21st. We have a luncheon, so I'm also looking for ideas for luncheon, maybe something a little
Steak
different.
tartare?
But we do have a budget that we need to stay within unless the town wants to splurge and purchase something on their own. Anyway, Thursday, August 21st. So we need to come up with a program or a presentation. I have a couple. Agritourism, I don't know if we could get some, or Ag Ventures, maybe something along those lines, since we are a big rural community, or that. I mentioned the experiment station, which would include the garden door and the potato gene and all that, might be a topic. And other than that, anyone else? Because we would, if it's going to involve a presentation where we need to reach out to someone and get this date on their calendar, the sooner the better. We have had a lot of programs promoting the various county departments, so maybe something a little different, I don't know.
I know they kind of suggested things that are pertinent to small municipalities and such.
Did you have an idea?
Not exactly quite yet.
Okay.
I got some.
I had two or three things, no idea if you want to tackle them or not. One of them was, there were a couple of us, I think, here at the time that I had John Kaloji come and had him take us through how to assess roads. There was a booklet that came out from the state.
Right.
And he took us through that, so you could make a better, as you do the road tour. I thought that was pretty helpful. I know Jim Nellen was on, maybe.
Yeah, that was when Pazer first came about. It's now transitioned from Pazer into Whistler, but
Right.
yeah.
But at any rate, I just thought maybe that might be useful, because not all of us, or some of us, may or may not want to continue that process. So that was one.
Okay.
Shoreline zoning. Kind of, how did they determine that? That's a real scary topic, which goes along with what I said earlier to Karen, maybe you could, maybe you don't want to, have conditional use follow-up. What's their process there? How are they working it? What's their timeline? So that people, I know there was a lot of frustration with the communities that didn't get response from land use services, so maybe I'll throw that out there.
And that could be interesting too, because the town of Egg Harbor and many of the southern towns, well, not many, but a few, are not under county zoning.
Yeah.
And although shoreland applies to everybody,
Right.
but the other zoning aspects, they administer on their own. It'd be interesting to see how they do that.
So, and then, those were, shoreline zoning, through land use services, that's just an idea. That's my ideas.
Anyone else? Hot topics?
That's a number to consider.
And what's the budget for this? Is it much?
For the
For the luncheon?
Yeah,
$250.
and how much do you typically
And
spend?
I'm not cooking.
Do you spend it all?
Yeah, pretty much. A shout out to Scott Construction, who covers up to $250 for everybody's luncheon.
Oh,
So thank you, Scott Construction.
all right.
They've been doing that for many years. So if we can keep it in that range, anything over, we could kick in ourselves, I think.
We have some money sitting aside for A little while.
Spend the
We could
interest.
have the new Cut restaurant.
There you go. All right, financial reports. In the hope to have this meeting eventually end, we will have, you have in your packet the account balances, the budget versus actual, and the transactions by date. And the treasurer's going to be very brief and tell us that she has some wonderful things.
Absolutely. We're doing great in our interest earned category, being at 77% currently. Currently, I am renewing liquor licenses and short-term rental licenses, so we have additional revenue coming in there. And I have received the last bill for the restroom today. So
All right.
we will,
I signed that check.
yes, we're all paid up now.
Yay.
Great. And we're working hard to get some grass. All right. So motion to accept the financial reports, put them on file would be,
So moved.
motion by Linda, second by,
Second.
second by Jeannie. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Committee, commission minutes, reports, I would assume.
Should we go back to vouchers?
How
bills,
about
and claims?
vouchers?
Oh, yeah,
bills
we have
and claims.
vouchers, thank you.
You want me-
Approval of vouchers, bills, and claims for April 22nd through May 19th of 2025.
I will
Everybody
make-
signed them?
Sorry,
Yes. Yep.
trying to expedite it.
Did
I'll
you?
make a motion to approve vouchers, bills, and claims, April 22nd, 2025 through May 19th,
All right.
2025.
Approval by. All right. Motion by Mark, second by Trent. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Oral committee commission, well, we have the EMR committee meeting minutes, the plan, that's March 25th, the plan commission from April 10th, the park and rec from January, very new, and a motion to put those on file.
I'll move to put on file, the minutes on file.
All right.
As
Motion by
presented.
Linda, second by
Second.
Jeannie. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Are you looking for an oral report?
I was just going to say,
I'll make it quick,
I was hopeful it would be very short.
very short. Door County Tourism Zone. The annual meeting is June 19th at the City of Sturgeon Bay offices. And I can tell you that as of the end of April, there are 1,583 room tax permits issued, 933 of which are year-round, so I thought that was great. The zone got a nice, clean audit for 2024. They have one new full-time staff person, Cassidy. She comes from the IRS in Green Bay.
Wow.
Very pleasant lady. And the top three venues for Door County last year, the visitor highlights: Cherry Blossoms, Washington Island Adventures, and live music festivals.
How did they get that? How did they come up with that?
That's what Destination Door County,
They believed that cherry blossoms, so, I mean, they're
Wow.
beautiful. We just saw them the other day. Interesting.
Cherry Blossoms, Washington Island Adventures, and what was his name?
live music festivals.
Live music, yeah.
Yeah. And room tax, per the audit, room tax collected in 2024, $12,179,000 compared to $11,313,000 previous year. So still up.
Wow. All
That's
right,
all.
thank you. The only thing I would say relative to the room tax thing is, how much interaction do we actually have with the people that check and verify all that? Do we get much, anything from them? Amy, do you hear from?
No, actually, I asked a question today, well, I asked a question last week on something, on a short-term rental. And they hadn't been able to give me an answer, which was very interesting. I don't know if they've changed their regulations on what sort of information they can give out.
You would think if it's a participating municipality, they would be pretty open.
What kind of, I mean, were you asking for something that you?
I was asking for, because based on what someone reports,
Yeah.
we can break it down to know if they're staying within their 6-night, 7-day bracket or not. And, you know, I just got a quick one-line, you know, based on what you're asking for, I can't give you the information if they're, you know, staying within their permit. And I said, but if you give me the amount, I can break it down to know if they are staying within their permit. So I'm waiting for the answer on that.
Well, could Granicus help us with that, help you with that?
Well, that's who she went to, right?
No, this, I went to.
Oh, I'm
You went to
sorry.
the
I'm sorry, I
zone.
went to
Oh,
the
you
zone.
went to the zone.
I went to the zone.
Granicus,
Granicus,
That's what I meant. I was referencing
the
granite.
problem is some people like to circumvent that by saying, yep, they'll rent it out for a week. But then I think when people contact them directly, they only do like 3 days. So I would know based on the room tax revenue, if, you know, hey, I see 6 nights
Should
is
be-
usually $3,000, but here you said 6 nights was $800. What's going on with that? You know, so I guess I'm just trying to do some investigative work to make sure all of our 6-night, 7-day rentals are adhering to, you know, the rules.
So, I was just gonna say, so do you get much feedback at all from Granicus currently? Or are they getting calls during the season? I know it's not our season, but,
We've been doing great. We haven't had, last year, we didn't have one complaint. No one complained on any of the STRs. So it seems like everyone is complying or just not calling. But it's obviously out there. They can either call, they can, I believe they can email. So as far as I'm concerned, all of our short-term rentals are complying and at least living within the rules that we set.
okay, great. I know you recently found a deluxe accommodation that you caught, so I appreciate your Sherlock Holmes work. All right. That's it for the oral committee reports. County board report. Boy, I feel sorry for you, Hugh. Next, we'll put you on first, right after the Rock Ridge Road people.
We'll make it brief. Last month's meeting was primarily handling some typical financial matters, like carryover budgets from last year for projects that are going forward this year, approving those so they could continue their operations. Probably the biggest item that we talked about was the special workshop that we had at the end of April. And that is to look at the challenges we have. The initial budget roll-up has a $1.2 million deficit. And so we're looking at ways to try to, whittle that down. Obviously, if there's some audits that are still going on with some departments relative to what they budgeted and what their actuals are, and what we'll have as gaps. We'll be reviewing ideas tomorrow at the Finance Committee meeting relative to various departments. This workshop included department heads. So there's some things that are being discussed, including putting a hold on new hires, putting a hold on doing new KIP programs, capital improvement programs, maybe not doing as many county roads for repaving. There's also some ideas relative to unfilled positions, not filling them. And the other thing is looking at more sources of revenue, including things such as identifying specific parks where we want to pilot and implement park fees for Door County of Door. So those are some of a myriad. So think about this when you take a look at who should pay for how much for mobile radios when we're looking at some budget deficits. The big thing that's driving our budget deficit for this year is that the net new construction number estimate is lower. It's at 1.6 versus 1.63, which was the prior year. Again, this is an estimate. What happens is the appraisers send their report. AAC will basically send a report to the Department of Revenue where they give their assessment. The assessors from the municipalities give their assessment on new construction, net new construction, demolitions, and basically the Department of Revenue rolls that up, relative to providing then an estimate of a net new construction, as well as the appraised value for each of the municipalities, and then subsequently the county. And then they'll do an audit on some of the appraisal records that they get before they finalize their number. So net new construction is likely going to go down, especially if you look at some of the history over the last 2 or 3 years of building permits. Most of our net new construction in the county is driven by residential, and it's down if you look at permits over the last couple of years. So, this obviously it'll not only just impact the county, it'll also impact municipalities, since their net new construction is reflective of that as well. So, something to think about as you look at expenditures and rainy day funds. We have this deficit we're trying to plan for next year, and making sure that the county can maintain its newly acquired AA1 rating, from a financial integrity perspective. So there'll be more to come, in the next couple of months, as probably more word filters out from working committees relative to, if you hear, hey, they're doing a hiring freeze, or they're doing this or do that. And I think the other thing to keep in mind is, and this because you're operating in town, is, we're limited by the tax levy, right? There's certain municipalities, and the county can do this as well. This is another option. The county can do what the city of Sturgeon Bay does. They basically, bond, create debt. That debt then gets, out of the tax levies. So you're basically charging it to your Capital One credit card, and then you get to pay that below the levy line, that principal plus that interest. So eventually that deficit spending, will kill you, especially when you think of like road construction. So that's something that the county wants to avoid as much as possible. We do have a good unfunded balance of about 26 million. But when you think about a $27 million mobile radio project, the thought is we'd commit maybe half of that fund for that mobile radio project or for the towers project, so that you only have to bond half of it when the time comes. So, there's a lot of, funds that are available that we could use, but we know there's some significant required expenditures that are capital expenditures that are coming down the road. That we're going to have to, have the funding available, and we don't want to have to do bonding, for such large amounts. So there'll be more coming in the next, after the next couple of financial meetings and county board meetings, as we try to reconcile and get a finer point on how big this deficit is, and then put plans in place to make sure we can operate under the tax levy that we have.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Hugh, is it still ARPA funds that you have to take care of the fire number, the changes of, changing out the fire numbers? I noticed when we were doing our road tour, there's a lot of fire numbers that are very, very faded around the town.
That money so far is still committed to doing
Yeah.
that, and I know they're working on finalizing, I think, their RFP for the sign purchase. So that's still going forward.
Okay.
I have 3 questions. Well, I shouldn't say 3. One is, I find it tough to believe that new construction's down, because Sturgeon Bay on its own should carry the goal there. I mean, between
The apartment
apartment
building?
construction, hotel construction, I mean, they're going crazy in Sturgeon Bay, but that neither here nor there. It just seems bizarre with everything they have. On the safe harbor feasibility study, where is that coming from? I was stunned to see that.
Where is it coming from?
I mean, who initiated it? Is this going back to the continuing conversation about
It's a
Cave
county
Point?
recommendation, it's a county recommendation and then expanded, it's not just Whitefish Dunes anymore. It's the fact that Bailey's Harbor can't afford to dredge and pay $300,000 a year, and it's likely that safe
Could be gone.
will likely be gone. With all the activities going on in Northern Door, there is no safe harbor between Bailey's Harbor and all the way around Raleigh's, Raleigh's Point. So
Right.
that was raised by Bud Combs and the folks up in the town of Liberty Grove that's becoming an increased danger as well. So the reason I think the resolution got a lot more traction is it wasn't just a Whitefish Bay concern, it was, in essence, the entire lakeshore from the canal, all the way to Gills Rock.
Well, I think it's legit. I was envisioning that it was another resurrection of the Cave Point, Whitefish Bay. Okay,
No,
that's good.
It's much broader.
And then the last comment, and this came up on our road tour this week. We don't know what the standard is for street signs, but there doesn't seem to be one. And maybe you and Dale could peel back the covers on that a little bit. If you look at our street signs, we have words misspelled. We have words that should be one word or two words are one. We have font sizes.
Sizing issue, yeah.
Font sizes all over the place. I mean, you drive through some subdivisions and it's really surprising how many different.
Define street signs. Is it the one that's on the post?
Yep.
Right.
Whitefish
Not
Bay,
E911.
Glidden Drive,
The green street
the
sign.
green street signs.
An example is Bay Shore Drive, and it's being spelled as one, Bay Shore being spelled as one word.
I mean, the sign coverages, were all over the place there. I don't know what it's really a miracle. Go over to, what's that, Holiday Acres?
Holiday Acres.
Yeah.
Elaine
Holiday
Drive, Dennis
Acres.
Drive, all that.
There's a
yeah.
variety there.
Yeah, Edwards, Michelle.
Dennis, and Elaine,
Yeah, there's every size font that you could find.
Yeah.
And on every different size sign, street sign. So I throw it out there. Thank you. I won't keep you any longer.
Thanks, Hugh.
All right. License and permits, you have a copy of inspection specialist for the month. Also, the new building permits that Amy pulls for us. There's a few there. Jumping off to correspondence, you have the Sturgeon Bay Fire Department report. Get ready, folks, we're getting to the highlight. Wisconsin Historical Society, we have the Little Harbor launch wreck. This is buried out in Little Harbor, if you can find it. Take your friends. But more importantly, and I stand in awe, the State of Wisconsin Office of Governor proclamation, Professional Municipal Clerks Appreciation Week. All right.
Yay.
Last month, we had the treasurer.
Yeah.
This month, the clerk. What could be next month?
What a woman.
What a job. She does a great job for us, so it's about time that Tony recognized her. So, thank you for that. Also have a note from the League of Women Voters going to Amy about her quality elections. Announcements next month, Board of Supervisors meetings June 16th at 7 PM. Open book here at the Town Hall on June 20th. And what was the date for the rummage sale, since we don't, June 21st is the rummage sale.
Yard sale.
Yard sale, sorry, yard,
It says
treasures
rummage.
and trash sale.
Yes.
All right.
And then I'd like to, June 28th is the Mighty Pioneers baseball tournament at the park. It's kind of a slimmed down version of what we've had in the past, but it's still a good tournament to come and see some good ball and spend some money and maybe win some money, some raffle tickets,
Oh, good.
good food.
Cool.
All right, so I regret to say that our agenda item for next month will include the infamous Rock Road driveway permit and the EMRs. Hopefully, those two will finish up next month, and if there's something else, call me. Otherwise, a motion to adjourn would be appropriate.
Okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Well,
Oh, I'm sorry.
excuse me.
Go ahead.
On the parking lot we talked about the other night,
Yeah.
are they gonna clean that, prep it or anything before they paint?
Let me talk to you offline because we're past that topic. Public participation. Okay, I'm sorry. Motion by
Yep,
Trent, second by,
Second.
second by Mark. My God, he's so soft. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, adjourned. Sorry, I had to